What is up, everybody? Matt Modi here to give you my favorite NBA player props for tonight's NBA betting slate. We're talking Game 5 of the NBA Finals between the Mavericks and the Celtics. I'm going to have 3 bangers for you guys to lock in again today, Monday, June 17th. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. Of course, before I can give you the picks for today, we got to do a recap from Game 4, which was another good day. This has been a pretty good finals to me overall. 3 of the 4 days we have been in the profit. That included Game 4, in which we went 2-1, up about 1.25 units. We cashed out Luka over his first quarter point prop, and we cashed out the ladder play on that bad boy as well. We cashed out Jaylen Brown under his assist prop, which was definitely a little bit sweaty. And then we lost Luka over 3.5 made 3-pointers. He was only 4 away. He didn't make a single 3-pointer, but we'll take a day in the green, 2-1. That now brings our total profit on the playoffs. We are up about 11.5 units or so. On the entire season, we are up 119.6 units. So if we have another profitable day today, we would hit the 120 unit mark of profit on the season, which would be amazing. And I'm really pleased with how these NBA playoffs have gone as well, right? At the beginning of the playoffs, it was really hit or miss. We'd have 4 good days in a row, then 3 down days. It was very up and down. We've had a pretty good sustained success, basically since the conference finals. So hopefully we're able to keep that going tonight. If you're new to my channel, I would appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. And then for this specific video, like and comment, all that good stuff. And then you can check out my Dove Club if you're interested in having all my plays sent to you for $5 a month. But let's get into these bangers. So again, Game 5, Mavericks versus Celtics. Our first play is going to be Luka Doncic over 9.5 first quarter points, -115 odds at DraftKings. So as I mentioned, we were on this play in Game 4. Luka came through for us. So let's go right back to it in Game 5. Now, the one unfortunate part about this prop is the books are no longer giving us 10 plus points at plus money. They have somewhat caught on to the fact that Luka is a first quarter king, but I still think it's worth hitting even at the -115 odds that we are getting at DraftKings. You know, it's kind of interesting, right? Luka's point prop for the entire game, right? The books are pricing his over-under at 32.5. He literally has not gone over 32.5 points in any of the 4 games this series. He's come close a couple times, but fouled out in Game 3, blowout took him off the floor in Game 4. He's gone under his mainline point prop of 32.5 in all 4 games. But if you isolate it specifically to the first quarter, he has gone over 9.5 first quarter points in 3 of the 4 games. The only game he missed was Game 1. Through the 4 games of the series, he scored 7 points in the first quarter of Game 1. And then in Games 2 through 4, 13, 13, 13. That's lucky number 13 first quarter points for Luka. He came out cooking in each of games 2 through 4 in the first quarter. And I am betting on that happening again in Game 5. Luka has notoriously been a fast starter in the first quarter in these playoffs, even games in which he struggled to score points, like his jump shot just wasn't falling at the beginning of the playoffs. He has still hit this prop majority of the times. And that's why I like isolating the first quarter specifically, because we get the fact that Luka does start fast and we protect ourselves from any possible shenanigans like a blowout like we saw in Game 4. Could be a blowout on either side. In terms of the matchup itself, I've talked ad nauseum about why this is such a good matchup for Luka to score a bunch of points. And it's kind of come through, at least in the first quarter specifically. Again, he hasn't gone over his mainline point prop in any of the 4 games, but he has been doing really, really well from a scoring perspective, right? It's all because of how the Celtics play defense. Now, I'm not going to get into it in as much detail as I have been, because those of you that have been tuning into my channel are probably sick of hearing it, but it's all because of the drop coverage that the Celtics play on defense. That drop coverage leads to a ton of points to main lead ball handlers, high usage guys that run a ton of pick and rolls. On the entire season, this is looking at the regular season, the Celtics allowed the second most points per game to pick and roll ball handlers. They allowed the second most above the break 3-point attempts and the most pull-up 3-point attempts in the entire NBA. All 3 of those categories are categories in which Luka Doncic excels, which is why I was on him from a points perspective to begin the series, and it's played out in that way. It's played out how we thought, right? He's been able to score pretty well. The Celtics are content with letting him cook, and they're not content with letting anybody else cook. They're not content with him controlling the game from both a scoring and a passing perspective, right? He's only recorded more than 6 assists in 1 game. He had 11 assists in Game 2. He had 1 assist in Game 1, 6 in Game 3, and 5 last game in Game 4. The Celtics are saying, you can score all you want. We are not letting you control the game from a passing perspective. And I think that's going to continue, even though that the Celtics just lost game 4. That strategy has generally worked for them. And the Mavericks had a little bit of an outlier shooting performance in game 4 as well. So I think that kind of normalizes. I think Luka scores a bunch of points in the first quarter. And I think he cashes this play out for us. That's our first play. Next up, I'm taking Jaylen Brown over 6.5 first quarter points, minus 106 odds at FanDuel. So we're going back to another first quarter king, although that has not really been the case for Jaylen Brown this series, right? With Luka, he had cashed his point prop in 3 of 4 games. Jaylen Brown has literally yet to score more than 4 points in any in the first quarter of any game of this series. But even with that thought in mind, so again, it's priced at 6.5. He has not gone over this number in any game this series. Look at what the lines and how the books have been pricing Jaylen Brown's first quarter point prop. It's been very interesting. Heading into game 2, it was priced at 4.5, albeit it was pretty heavily juiced towards the over, but it was priced at 4.5. He only scored 4 points. He went under. Games 3 and 4, it was priced at 5.5. He went under in both those games. Even when you take that into account, like even the fact of all that, it's now priced at 6.5, and it's not even for plus money for his first quarter point prop. I think that the books are telling us something. I think that they are onto something, and I am in total agreement with them, right? This is an excellent fade of recent results. And if you take out these last 4 games, right? If you just take out the finals, Jaylen Brown's first quarter point prop was a system play in games that Kristaps Porzingis has missed. Now, he was available in game 4, but he didn't end up playing. I don't think that Kristaps Porzingis will play in this game either. And if you look at the 8 playoff games that Brown played without Porzingis heading into this series, he had scored 7 or more points in 5 of 8 games. And in 2 of the 3 that he went under, he was just 1 bucket away from going over, right? Generally, again, taking out this series, you could rely on Jaylen Brown to start fast without Kristaps Porzingis in the lineup. Now, that hasn't really been the case so far in the playoffs, but it's a 4-game sample size, and I'm ready to fade those results, right? If you look at the regular season, about 60% of the games that Porzingis missed, Jaylen Brown scored 7 or more points in the first quarter. He averaged 8.1 points per game, or I should say 8.1 points per first quarter in the 19 games that Kristaps Porzingis has missed. And Brown has been excellent this series. It's not like we're backing a player that has struggled. He just hasn't quite gotten going in the first quarter, which I think changes tonight, right? Like there's a reason why Jaylen Brown is the heavy favorite to win Finals MVP. Like FanDuel prices his MVP odds at minus 230. In game 4, the Mavericks defense did a much better job. In games 1 through 3, they could not contain Jaylen Brown on drives. Their on-ball defense was terrible. That led Jaylen Brown to pretty easily be able to attack the paint. And either the Mavericks would send help and he would kick it out to an open shooter, or he would just score at will at the rim, which is what he had been doing again in games 1 through 3. Didn't really do that in game 4. I find it hard to believe that the Mavericks are going to be able to keep up that level of defensive intensity that they had in game 4. And I think after getting blown out in game 4, Brown comes out right off the jump, and he comes out way more aggressive than he's been in the first quarter of any of the other games. I also like the fact, the last point I'll make here, Jaylen Brown has played 12 minutes of, or I guess which is the full first quarter of each of the last 3 games. He's played all of the first quarter, each of the last 3 games. So more minutes equals more opportunity to score points. So going 0-4 on this on the series so far is scary, but I like for him to go over tonight. That's our second play. Last up, I'm taking Derrick White over 3.5 made 3-pointers plus 120 odds at FanDuel. So for this play for Derrick White, we're really just betting on volume. He shot a ton of 3-point attempts this entire playoffs, and he's shot a ton of 3-point attempts in this series as well. If you look at the 4 games, he's gone over twice and he's gone under twice. So he's hitting it at a 50% rate on this series. Now, what I mentioned is what I love are the attempts. Even if you look at last game in which the Celtics got blown out basically from the jump, Derrick White only played 30 minutes. He still got up 8 3-point attempts in those 30 minutes of playing time. Now, he only made 2 of those 8 attempts, which means we're getting a pretty nice fade of recent results as well. The 2 games heading in to game 4, he had cashed 4 or more 3-pointers in each of those games. He was 4 of 10 from deep in game 2. He was 4 of 9 from deep in game 3. So after making 4 in 2 games in a row, it kind of makes sense that he had a down game because that's just how shooting goes. And again, you can kind of excuse it, especially in a game that the Celtics really never had a chance. If you look at games 1 through 3, and then you look at game 4, totally different for the Celtics offense and the Mavericks defense. In games 1 through 3, the Celtics attempted an average of 29 catch and shoot three-pointers per game. That would have led the NBA if you just look at the regular season. The reason why they were able to have so much success, so many catch and shoot opportunities, is because what I mentioned in my previous point, that the Mavericks could not contain drives. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum were driving into the paint at will, and the Mavericks were pretty aggressive in sending help to Tatum and Brown, leaving shooters wide open on the corner, or leaving shooters wide open that they would just kind of kick it around, right? Play ring around the rosy after one kick out pass. That's a death sentence when you're playing Boston. In game 4, the Mavericks did a better job guarding the ball. The Celtics only attempted 24 catch and shoot three-pointers. That would have been bottom 10 in the NBA, and obviously 5 under their average heading in to game 4. And they also only made 6 of those 24 attempts as well, shooting 25% on those 24 catch and shoot three-pointers. Again, I mentioned this with Jaylen Brown. I doubt that the Mavericks will be able to contain the ball as well as they did in game 4. I think that should lead to a lot more catch and shoot opportunities for Derrick White. Derrick White has led the Celtics in catch and shoot three-point attempts in the playoffs so far. And I also think that he'll shoot better on the attempts that he had, just based on the law of averages. So this is my official play, the Derrick White over 3.5 made three-pointers. I also really do like Jaylen Brown over his assist prop as well. I faded that on Friday. Now it's time to buy back the other way. I didn't want to have 2 plays on Jaylen Brown. I didn't want to have a play on his points and his assist over. That just seemed like risky business. So I'm just leaving that as a lean. But I do like the Jaylen Brown assist number as a lean if you want to lock that in as well. But I am just officially riding with the 3 plays that we have. Again, make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's hope we can have a profitable day, get us into the plus 120 unit mark of profit on the year. I appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.